Yo, so welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a little bit of a different one, and we're going to talk about how to use an action camera for mountain biking. I'm currently riding up the hill now. I thought I would kill two birds with one stone and start the video now. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to set your camera up, mounting angles and positions, and then at the end I'm going to show you how I edit my videos as well. There's the full package. It's a beautiful evening here in Scotland. Oh God, we're on the e-bike, pedaling up the hill, and I'm going to give you a few pointers as I'm riding up to help you set your camera up. So this is specifically going to be shot on a 360 camera. So I use the Insta360 X4 camera, which I have mounted to my chest right now, but I'm going to show you different ways to mount it to get different desired angles and outcomes and all things in the middle of that. Let's talk a bit about setup of the camera first, like camera settings, and then when I get to the top of the hill I'll talk through a bit about mounting the camera. So, God, I'm trying to like navigate the rocks and talk to the camera. It's pretty intense. Now on my Insta360 X4 camera, I'm going to be shooting in 360 because I think that's the best way to get immersive point of view videos for sports. It does require a little bit of editing, so it's not for everyone, but I think it delivers the best outcome for action sports. But if you're someone who doesn't like video editing and just wants to pick a camera up, attach it to yourself and shoot, then it might not be the best option for you. In terms of settings, my X4 will shoot at 8K, which is quite phenomenal, but I don't really shoot at 8K because it eats through battery, camera heats up a little bit, and my file sizes are massive. So I generally shoot at 5.7K, which is also what the Insta360 X3 will shoot at. And if you're generally posting to social media like Instagram and YouTube, you won't really see the difference. So I generally stick to that. Well, hopefully you can hear me, the microphone's hitting something. I might just need to stop and move it. What frame rate should we use? So we've got resolution dialed. Frame rate depends on, again, the outcome. I generally stick to 30 frames a second because that seems to work best for social media and YouTube. If you want to shoot more slow motion stuff, then you want to go upwards of 60, 120 and upwards. But obviously if you do that, then you'll have to drop your resolution down because usually cameras, that's how they work. If you increase the frame rate, then the resolution will generally drop. I shoot at 30 frames a second just because of dynamic range in the trees. So for mountain biking, we're always going in and out of trees. The light situation is changing. So right now it's super sunny, but as soon as we go into the trees, it'll be quite dark. So I want a camera that can be capable of changing with those light changes and give me the best outcome. And then when it comes to the actual setup of the camera, so like white balance, I generally go for about 5,000 Kelvin, which is generally quite a warm color. That's personal preference. So, and then on this X4 camera, I shoot in the vivid color mode. So I let Insta360 do all the color grading and make some fine tweaks later, which you'll see in the editing process. But, oh my God, it's rocky climbing up this. You can see it. It's beautiful though, look at it. We're gonna keep going up. But generally I keep all my settings quite normal and automatic just because the X4 camera is so capable now that you can let the camera do most of the work. And I find if you put it in manual mode, when you're going in and out of forests and stuff, the camera will struggle and will be like set for one light situation. So if you go to a different light situation, you'll get a varied outcome, which is not what I want. So generally 5.7K, 30 frames a second. We're gonna get to the top and then I'm gonna discuss camera mounting options. So mounting your camera, let's talk a bit about that because there's different options here that's gonna give a different outcome, and they may sound very similar, but you'd be surprised at how different the outcome can be. So right now, I've got this mounted to my chest. So I've got the chest harness for Insta360, and I also have this mount here, this L-shaped mount, which is a mount that allows me to mount my camera horizontally rather than vertically. But what I found is when it's mounted vertically with the lens pointing down, the actual leverage is quite a lot because the camera is quite long compared to other action cameras. So this can actually affect the overall feel of the camera on your chest, and I don't want that. So I want the camera quite close to my chest like this, just so it's more stable. This isn't going anywhere. It's nice and compact, and it's going to get me the best angle of my riding. What we can also do with the Insta360 chest mount as well, we can actually spin this round just like this. So now it's even higher up. Quick pointer on chest mounts. I do my chest mount up quite tight, especially on the shoulders and the waist, because I want the chest harness to be really solid. And I also want the camera as high up my chest as I can comfortably get it. Not so it's in the way and going to hit my chin, but I want it up here because I feel that will give me the best field of view when I'm riding down. And when you're riding down, you want a good proportion of handlebar and trail in front of you in your shot. If you point it too far down, you'll see too much bike and the floor. And if you point it too far up, you won't get that immersive feel that we're after. One good thing about shooting with 360 cameras is it kind of takes the guessing game out of action cameras. So you can literally mount your camera anywhere, and because it shoots 360, it will capture everything, and you get the option later to reframe it and choose where you want your camera to shoot. Whereas with, say, an Insta360 Ace Pro or a DJI camera or any GoPro, you are the person that sets the camera up, and if you get the angle wrong and you do a sick run or a sick bit of sport and you the camera's pointing the wrong way, your angle's going to be crap and your footage is going to be rubbish. So 360, I can literally not have to worry about where this is pointing because I can reframe it afterwards in that editing process. Now we can also mount this to the helmet, which I'll show you right now. So there's two ways you can mount the X4 camera to a helmet. First of all, you just use this mount that goes underneath the camera like this, into the screw at the bottom. And you obviously need your mount underneath the peak is where I usually go. And this is how I would mount it, like this. It looks like a unicorn spike. And one thing I've found with this mount, this is great for social media stuff. So if you're posting 9x16 footage for Instagram stories or reels, this is a great mount. But one thing you want to make sure is that this locking nut is very tight, because again, this camera is a little bit long. It has a tendency to move sometimes. But if you tighten the bolt, it should be fine. And you want to do your helmet quite tight if you're using an open face helmet like me, because otherwise the helmet will move. But this is a really good helmet. This is a 6D helmet. And I love these helmets. And this is perfect for what I want to do. Second option though, if you're not keen on this look and you want a little bit more of a compact feel, we can go with our horizontal vertical mount thing I just showed you. This is the more compact look, as you can see. So it doesn't stick out from the helmet. Actually feels quite nice. That's really good. So those are the mounting positions I like to use. You can obviously mount it as well on top of your helmet, which I generally don't use for point of view mountain biking because I don't think it gives the best footage. But if you were following somebody or somebody was behind you, the camera, the unicorn mount on top of your helmet could give a pretty cool perspective. It's not something I really use too often. So what we'll do now is I'm going to go down a trail and I'm going to show you what each of these different mounting positions look like and just give you a bit of a demonstration, because they look very different even though they are like not that much difference in wow. Oh. Whoa. This is the next mount position. See that there? It's in like the high mode on my chest, quite high up. And we're going to drop down this trail here. So let's go. Whoa. is so, oh God, so slippy. Hard to see where you're going. Oh God, terrible. Whoa. There we go. That was mine on my chest. One thing I think is worth pointing out as well, when you're setting your camera up, on 360 cameras there's something called a stitch line. So the stitch line on this camera is the top of the camera, which is basically where the two lenses would meet. So the stitch is where AI and the camera puts the two videos of the two lenses together. Now, when it comes to mountain biking, I find you want to point this stitch line in a place where it's not going to be visible to the eye. So this is either going to be directly in the trail in front of you, just above the horizon, or into the sky. So, for example, this here, I mean, it doesn't matter too much where you point it, but if I point it like here, the camera lens is going to be pointing down that way. But if I point the camera up, like if I reframe it in editing afterwards, you're going to see like some weird stuff going on here because that's where the stitch line is. So you want the stitch line to be in like a place where it's not going to get seen by the human eye. And generally, if you're in mountain biking territory, that's going to be bushes and also the sky as well. Same with surfing and hiking and stuff as well. Just that's the kind of thing you want to be thinking about. But generally, it doesn't really matter too much, but it's worth understanding how the stitch line works.
Okay, so a super quick video on editing your videos with action cameras. So I use Insta360 Studio for this. This is a free app because it works with my Insta360 cameras. You may be using a different camera, but if you're using like a GoPro or a single lens action camera, I will do another video teaching you how to do editing with those. And there's also a resource at the end of this video which you might find useful. But essentially I use Insta360 Studio. I load my footage in here. As you can see, we have our 360 footage. Yeah, I can spin it around. And essentially what we want to do, we first of all select the length of our clip on the timeline here. And then the end, I'll just go here, just a real quick example. I'm just using the brackets on my keyboard. And then we want to press Command and K and set a keyframe. And this is essentially where the keyframe is going to look. So we've got distortion, we've got field of view, we can rotate, we can do all sorts of rolls and pans and stuff here. But I generally go for about 95, about 40, but feel free to play around with this, because this will be different depending on, oh, hang on a second, how you want your footage to look. Why does it keep doing that? Here we go. Before you try that. So I'll go with this, zoom in a little bit. Let's just try here. We also have these settings here, like de-warp, so we can take the warp out of it. Ultra, tiny planet, which is a bit strange. Crystal wall. I usually go mega. 0.495. That's our first keyframe. Now if we play the video, essentially what we want to do is we want to add a keyframe like before and after every change in direction. So we're going to add a keyframe here, Command and K, and we're going to point the camera where we want it, and do that the whole way down the trail. As you see here, we'll be able to build up our footage. Like I said at the start of this video, 360 cameras are for a certain type of person who doesn't mind editing and wants to edit. If you're somebody who doesn't like this whole faff of editing and 360 stuff, then this might not be for you. Just get rid of these keyframes, show you another thing here. We've also got directional lock. So directional lock, if you turn it on, it will try and follow where it thinks the horizon is on the camera. It doesn't work too well good on the helmet, but I find it works better on the chest, and it will actually, see if we can do it again here. We can point the first keyframe. Usually set a keyframe. Direction lock is on. Yeah, so it's because the camera angle isn't exactly horizon leveled, so it's trying to point in different directions. It's a bit awkward. So that's why I always turn this off when I'm editing, when the camera isn't on my peak. But from there, once you're happy with your clip, you can export it here, and you can choose a resolution depending on where you want to post it. Bitrate will probably go anywhere between 30 and 70 depending on where you're posting your video. Leave the encoding format, change the file name, and that's how you do it. So that's my tutorial on setting up your action camera for mountain biking, along with the short editing tutorial at the end. It was an overview editing tutorial. I will leave a link in the description for those interested in my full action camera editing tutorial, if you are interested in that, which goes into all this stuff much more detailed. But hopefully that was useful to you. And if you've got any questions on using action cameras for mountain biking, drop a comment below and I'll respond to you with an answer. See you in the next video. Hope that was useful.